Thank you to the LAF for having me, and thank you all for listening to my scratchy voice. My name is Gina Ford. I'm a principal landscape architect. I'm going to talk about Into an Era of Landscape Humanism. 50 years ago, the voice of our profession was eerily prescient, undeniably smart, and powerfully inspired. It was also, as others have noted, almost entirely white and male. This is an image from my alma mater of what our profession looked like around the middle of last century. Now, I note this relative monoculture not out of disrespect to the Declaration's authors. Clearly, their charge for greater depth of environmental understanding and expertise is certainly as relevant today as it was then. Yet, as we look forward and we think about the significance of climate change, demographic shifts, and income inequality, the Declaration's man, as nature's antagonist, feels strangely abstract and incomplete. And P.S., this is what the Harvard Graduate School of Design looks like today. To maintain relevance over the next 50 years, the profession needs to demonstrate the highest level of natural systems expertise, but must devote equal attention to the human dimension of the equation. I want to talk about 3 ideas to that end. First, we as a profession need to diversify. Second, as practitioners, we need to sharpen our technical skills vis-a-vis the needs of the people that we serve. And third, as collaborators, we need to hone our communication and leadership skills. I would also like to celebrate along the way some landscape architects that I believe really are living this ethic and following these beliefs. So let's start with diversifying our ranks. The Declaration of Concern said that today's demands require more landscape architects than are available, and that's true today as well. But in order to diversify our profession, in order to grow our profession, we're going to need to diversify our profession. On the left-hand side here, you see the national population, and you see Hispanic and Black populations are 16% and 12% respectively, yet our profession is woefully underrepresented by these groups. Importantly, those are also the groups that are growing at the fastest rate. So here's areas of high growth anticipated between 2010 and 2030, and you see the Hispanic and Black populations growing. So how can we address that as a white profession? This is an assessment also of the leadership of our profession. So this is an assessment of the leadership of the firms that won ASLA awards last year, and what percentage of their leadership was female and what percentage was of color. And again, we're woefully underrepresenting our population in our highest levels of leadership. So it's not just about participation, it's also about the highest levels of our profession, the highest levels of leadership. And it's important to note this isn't just about being warm and fuzzy and feeling like we're doing the right thing and we feel good about ourselves. It's actually about innovation. If our profession is going to stay relevant and innovative, diversity begets innovation. There's a really strong business case for diversity. Diverse teams, studies show, are more likely to capture new markets, to increase market share, and resonate with increasingly diverse clients. At my company, Sasaki, which is a sort of historic practice, over the last decades, we've really been working hard to recruit and retrain a more diverse staff. We have 250 people in our practice. We represent over 30 countries of origin, and 35 different languages are spoken in our building. We devote a lot of attention to the discussion around diversity and how it fundamentally will change our values as a practice and what that means for us moving forward. It also means that we've had to redefine our business model. We've let our young leaders let their passion drive us into new markets, into new endeavors like research and exhibitions. This is one led by Nina Chase, who's out there in the audience. Hey, Nina, what's up, girl? Called Sea Change, a study about sea level rise in Boston. Secondly, in practice, we need to think about designing for people and designing for social equity. The Declaration said all too soon life in such polluted environments will be the national human experience. And as we know, as we look across our own country, we see increased disaster frequency, and we know that risk is fairly widespread. There's really no place but Michigan that's apparently spared the brunt. But all joking aside, it isn't impacting people the same. It's the poorest populations and those that are the most vulnerable, that are the most at risk and the most impacted, and are the least likely to be able to bounce back from disaster. Our work at Asbury Park during the Rebuild by Design competition, this was a community impacted by Sandy, and while we were really interested in dune restoration to help protect that community from sea level rise and also preserve their kind of beach culture and in all of this green infrastructure, the community, when polled, said that the key to their resilience wasn't about the environment only. It was about social resilience. It was a racially divided community where the Black and white population didn't mix, so we staged a parade and got them to start thinking about their city as one city. And it's not just the disaster condition, right? It's every day. These statistics from Los Angeles paint a picture. And I know they're working hard to overcome this, but in white neighborhoods, there's an average of 32 acres per 1,000 residents of open space, where Latino and Asian populations have less than 1. So that leads me to the incomparable Mia Lera and the work that she's doing to reclaim gray infrastructure through the neighborhoods of Los Angeles, thinking about environmental restoration and recreation and benefit to some of these really woefully underserved communities. And the work of David Rubin and Land Collective. Here he's working in a neighborhood in Baltimore, reimagining urban open space as an economic revitalizer and having the community actually participate. There's job creation inherent in this designed landscape. And then lastly, a shout out to Mitchell Silver, who was a client of ours in Raleigh and now the Commissioner of New York Public Parks, who really is talking about social equity at a whole new level and is really exciting. And if those of you haven't seen the Parks Without Borders Summit and initiative, it's really worth checking out. I think his mission is something we're going to see some really great things come out of. And then lastly, collaboration. Landscape architects are really taking a front seat these days with really complex problems and really bringing together complex teams and leading a charge. And so as we think about this era of landscape humanism, it also involves our softer skills of communication, leadership, and collaboration. The Declaration of Concern noted this, that we need a new collaborative effort to improve the American environment. We've been working on a competition called Changing Course south of New Orleans. It's addressing land loss and flood risk along the Mississippi River Delta. And it's taken an enormous team of social scientists, natural scientists, engineers, urban designers, urban planners. And we as landscape architects, as part of the team, are the ones responsible for synthesizing all of those disparate threads, bringing them together in a legible language that's clear to the public and that can get them inspired about large-scale environmental change. And I wanted to also shout out to Kate Orff, having witnessed her work during the Rebuild by Design competition, was doing much the same thing, bringing together human and natural systems in a way and communicating in such a way that people could get excited about new forms of infrastructure that is jargonless. It's basic, and people understand that it's serving multiple purposes. And lastly, I just wanted to acknowledge those that are teaching the next generation of landscape architects and those that are really celebrating interdisciplinary collaboration. Here is a studio led by Kofi Boone from NC State. He brings together landscape architects, and he's a problem seeker. He goes out and he finds issues and has service learning studios that address those. So here in Ghana, he had his students, an interdisciplinary team, work with this community to understand how they were underserved by open space, and then come up with recommendations for how simple change could be. And then last but not least, this is the work of Professor Pedro Pacheco, a landscape architect in Monterrey, Mexico. He uses his interdisciplinary design studios to get his students out into the poor neighborhoods around Monterrey, Mexico. This is a woman, Mrs. Rosenda, that the students interviewed, and then they wound up building her a new home out of found materials from the neighborhood, including new stormwater infrastructure. So Landscape Architecture Foundation wants us to be able to solve problems, complex, interrelated environmental, economic, and social problems, the ones we face today. And I would argue that we can't do it unless we diversify, unless we really think about the people that we're serving. And lastly, we don't use our skills to bring everyone together around a shared vision for the future. Thank you.